Number 5. A ghostly giggle in the dark. It all began with an impulsive night out. A friend dragged me to a local bar to catch a live music act. Between drinks and laughter, I reached for my phone, only to realize it wasn't in my pocket. Panic set in. I retraced my steps, checked the bar, the bathroom, even the table we were sitting at. Nothing. Finally, I borrowed my friend's phone and called my number. After 2 rings, someone answered. What followed was chilling. A low, raspy giggle before the line went dead. I tried calling back, but no answer. Resigned, I assumed my phone was gone for good. Hours later, I returned home and found it resting on my nightstand, exactly where I'd left it. Who answered that call? Number 4. The stranger on the bus. As a kid, I was always the last one picked up by the school bus. One morning, I waited alone when an empty bus pulled up. The driver smiled warmly and said, "Hop on." Something felt off. "Where are the other kids?" I asked. "They'll be next. Just get on," he replied, his tone growing insistent. My gut screamed no. I refused, and after a moment of awkward silence, he shrugged and drove away. A few minutes later, the real bus arrived. That evening, I casually mentioned the incident to my parents. Their concern was immediate. They made several frantic calls. To this day, I wonder what might have happened if I'd stepped onto that strange bus. Number 3. A nightmare. Next door. Years ago, I rented an apartment from a friend. It was newly renovated and seemed perfect, until I met the woman next door. She appeared older than her age, sat up all night blasting Christian radio shows, and talked loudly. To no one. One night, desperate for sleep, I knocked on her door. When she opened it, the scene inside left me stunned. Her walls were covered in multicolored crosses and scrawled words like Jesus and angels. The windows were painted black. The air reeked of dampness, and roaches skittered across the stained carpet. She stared at me, said nothing, and shut the door. Moments later, she turned up the radio louder than ever. That night, my girlfriend stayed over. I woke up to a dark shadow standing by the bed. My sleepy mind dismissed it as a trick of the light, until it spoke. "You should lock your doors at night," the voice said. It was my neighbor, holding something in her hand. She calmly walked out. The next morning, I saw her outside my window, muttering in tongues. She clutched a plastic bag containing the decomposing remains of a dog. The stench was unbearable. I later learned from another neighbor that she had broken into his apartment, standing silently behind his couch with a power drill. The police knew her well, but couldn't intervene unless she left her apartment. For 2 days, I waited, terrified, until she ventured out to a nearby store. Within minutes, police swarmed the area and took her away. I never saw her again, but the memory of her standing over me still haunts my dreams. Number 2. The grinning stranger. During a late-night shift in an industrial district, a loud crash shattered the silence. Someone had hurled a rock through one of the office windows. I called security and decided to head home, uneasy but relieved to leave. As I drove, something nagged at me. I hadn't unlocked my car before getting in. Had it been unlocked already? I quickly reached into the back seat, feeling for anything. It was empty. Later that night, I decided to meet a friend for drinks. Riding my bike through the quiet streets, I felt a presence behind me. A man pedaled slowly past, grinning, a smile so unsettling it sent a chill through me. Then, I noticed his bike. It was my mom's. I raced home in a panic. Her bike was missing, and one of my car doors, one I hadn't touched, was ajar. Number 1. The phone call at 4:17. Working night shifts at a remote campground had its perks: solitude, quiet, and plenty of time for gaming. My only company was a mysterious payphone outside the tiny shack where I worked. According to the guy I replaced, it rang every night at 4:17 a.m. He'd never answered it, assuming it was some automated test call. Curiosity got the better of me one night. At 4:15 a.m., I waited by the phone. Right on time, it rang. I picked it up, but there was only silence, dead air. I tried again the next night, and the next. Same result. After a week, I gave up. A month later, I decided to try again. This time, when I answered, I heard a sound, someone inhaling sharply, as if through clenched teeth. Then, a gravelly voice spoke my full name. First, middle, last. I froze. My throat tightened as I slammed the phone down. Shaking, I dialed *69. The call had originated from California. I lived in Indiana. To this day, I have no explanation for that call, or how they knew my name.